Hi everyone. In this lesson, we are going to talk about graphing. So I can graph using intercepts. So previously we learned how to graph using slope-intercept form, that is y equals mx plus b, right? Where you find your slope, your y-intercept, and your POI, and then you graph it from there. Today we're going to talk about a different method, talking about intercepts. So the first thing we have to talk about is standard form of a linear equation. Standard form is going to be ax plus by equals c. You saw this in the previous day's homework, as remember when you were given equations like this, 3x plus 2y equals 6. This is considered standard form. Okay, so before, what I had you do is write this equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, slope-intercept form is, as in, I said, just solve for y. So let's take a look at this example right here. Right, I have negative 2x plus 3y equals negative 6. You solve for y, so let me add 2x to both sides, add 2x to both sides. So I have 3y equals 2x minus 6. Divide by 3. Divide by 3, I get y equals 2 over 3x minus 2. Right, and then from here, I had you graph using the slope and the y-intercept. This is where you do the m, b, and POI. Right, so that's one way you can do this, and I'll talk about the second way. But why don't you, for these 4 problems, just rewrite these equations in slope-intercept form, aka solve for y. I want you to write these equations to make it look like y equals something, and then we'll go over them together. All right, so for this first one, if I want to make it look like y equals, I subtract x, I get y equals negative x minus 2. All right, I always try to put the x term first, so I get negative x minus 2. The second one, let me add 1/2 x, add 1/2 x. We have 2y equals 1/2 x plus 6. Okay, and then what do I do next? Well, let's divide each one by 2. Your y equals, and some of you may be like, how do I do 1/2 x divided by 2? Well, 1/2 divided by 2, let me show my work up here, is the same thing. You have to keep change flip, so 1/2 times 1/2, right? So you keep change into multiplication, and you flip that second fraction, and you get 1 over 4x plus 3. Okay, number 3, let's add 2/3 x to both sides. You have 2y equals 2 over 3x. From here, what do I do? Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Once again, you're 2. Right? So it may be helpful for some to write things out like this. Remember, this is the same thing as 2 over 3 divided by 2 over 1. Keep change flip. Keep change flip. And then you could cross simplify from here, right? And then multiply straight across, and I get 1 over 3. So really, this is just y equals 1 over 3x. And remember, if I'm ever going too quickly, you are free to pause, rewind this video. I really recommend you doing it if you are not understanding any of the material that we are going over. And last but not least, number 4, this one I think was a nice one. All you have to do is subtract 2x, subtract 2x. You get y equals negative 2x plus 5, and that's all you have to do. And then from there, you have all of these equations slope-intercept form. You can graph it. We're not going to graph this because I feel like at this point, we should feel pretty comfortable graphing these types of equations. Okay, so you can skip the graphs, and we'll move on to example 2. So this is called standard form. So that's one way you could do it. You could solve for y, you can make it look like y equals, and then from there do it. But there's another way you can graph equations. This way is called using intercepts. Okay, I can graph equations using intercepts. Step 1 is to find the x and y intercepts. Okay, so here's how you do that. Make sure you pay attention and take good notes, right? So what I would do is you have to find the x-intercept first. Equals 0. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, you're going to take this equation. Instead of y, you're going to plug in 0. That's the same thing as x equals just negative 3. Okay, and then what I would do is write this in coordinate form. In coordinate form, this is going to be negative 3, comma 0. Remember, it's always x, comma y. So this is the first x-intercept. The y-intercept, this is when x equals 0. So you're going to take the same equation. So instead of x, you're going to plug in 0. So I have 0 plus 3y equals negative 3. That's 3y equals negative 3. And you solve for y. Divide by 3, get y equals negative 1. Remember, it's x comma y. So in this case, x is 0. So it's going to be 0 comma negative 1 is your y-intercept. So what do I do with all of this? Once you have the intercepts, all you have to do is plot each intercept and draw a line through the point. So negative 3 comma 0 is right here. So this is your x-intercept. 0 comma negative 1 is right here. That's your y-intercept. Boom. All you have to do is draw a line through these 2 points. That's all you have to do. Okay? So why don't you graph these 5 and 6 on your own, and then we'll go over them together. Okay, so same thing. Let's find my x-intercept first. Your x-intercept, this is when y equals 0, so I'm going to plug in 0 for y. 2x minus 0 equals 8. 2x equals 8. I got x equals 4, so that means it's going to be 4 comma 0. Your y-intercept is 2 times 0 minus y equals 8. That's 0 minus y equals 8. It's negative y equals 8. Be careful. Bring down the negative sign. You divide by negative 1. Divide by negative 1. I got y equals negative 8. So it's going to be 0 comma negative 8. So all I have to do from here, plot these points 4 comma 0, 0 comma negative 8. And then connect your dots, whoops, to the best of your ability, obviously. And that's how you graph that. All right, next, same thing. Let's find my x-intercept. This one, y equals 0. So x plus 3 times 0 equals 6. X plus 0 equals 6. I got x equals 6. That means it's 6 comma 0. Your y-intercept, let's do the same thing. But remember, y-intercept is when x equals 0. So 0 plus 3 times y equals 6. 3y equals 6. Divide by 3, get y equals 2. So I have 0 comma 2 for this one. All you have to do from here, plot your points. I have 6 comma 0, 0 comma 2, and then draw your line through these 2 points. And voila, there's your graph. Hopefully this is a little bit of an easier way to graph. For some, it may be a little easier. For others, it's not. But it's just good to know how to do these graphs in a different way. All right, last example, and then we'll call it a day. So you have $6 to spend on apples and bananas. Graph the equation. where x is the number of pounds of apples and y is the number of pounds of bananas. Like in this one, like, do you want to solve for y? Yeah, decimals, it looks ugly. I would say let's not solve for y at all. Okay, so what I would do is actually find the intercepts, right? If I were to graph this, your x-intercept, once again, that's when y equals 0. So you have 1.5x plus 0.6 times 0 equals 6. This is the same thing as 1.5x plus 0 equals 6. You have 1.5x equals 6. You divide by 1.5, divide by 1.5, you get x equals. How many times does 1.5 go inside? 6, and that's 4. So your x-intercept is going to be 0, 4. Now let's do my y-intercept. That's when x equals 0. So just think opposites. X-intercept, y equals 0. Y-intercept, x equals 0. So 1.5 times 0 plus 0.6y equals 6. 0 plus 0.6y equals 6. 0.6y equals 6. Divide by 0.6, divide by 0.6. Well, how many times does 0.6 fit inside 6? And that's actually 10. All you have to know is you can move the decimals over, and you get y equals 10. So your y-intercept is 0, 10. This is much easier to graph now. All you have to do is plot these points. 4, 0, that's easy. It's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's my graph. Whoops. And don't forget, label your axes. X is pounds of apples. And y is pounds of bananas. Where did I get that? Well, it's an x, number of pounds of apples. Y is a number of pounds of bananas. That's where I got that. Okay, so this is where it can get a little tricky. Okay, interpret your intercepts. So let's take a look at this first. Right, interpret means, what does this mean? So my x-intercept is 4, 0. All you have to do is add units to all of this. What do I mean by that? Well, 4, the units for 4 are what? Or excuse me, units for x are what? X are the number of pounds of apples. So if you buy 4 pounds of apples, so there is a little bit of writing involved in this. Well, 4 pounds of apples, if it's x is 4, what is y? Well, then y is 0. That means you can buy 0 pounds of bananas, because my y units are bananas. X units are apples, y units are bananas. So that's how you interpret your x-intercept. Now let's do my y-intercept. That's 0, 10. Right, we figured that out up here. So once again, this is where you use your units. X is pounds of apples, y is pounds of bananas. So if you buy 0 pounds of apples, well, 0 pounds of apples is my x. If I buy 0 pounds of apples, I could buy 10 pounds of bananas. You can buy 10 pounds of bananas. And that's it. I know it's a lot of writing, but hopefully it's not as difficult as interpreting slope or y-intercept. This is just an easy way of interpreting your intercepts. Okay? So why don't you do this last one? Actually, you know what? Yeah, why don't you do this last one on your own, and then we'll fill out our level of understanding. Okay, so x-intercept, once again, you have 1.5x plus 1.2 times 0 equals 6. That's the same thing as 1.5x equals 6 because 1.2 times 0 is 0. I got x equals 4. So that means it's 4, 0. Your y-intercept is 1.5 times 0 plus 1.2y equals 6. That's 1.2y equals 6. Divide by 1.2, divide by 1.2. You should get y equals 5. And then from here, that's your y-intercept 0, 5. All you have to do is plot these points. So 4, 4, 0 is right here. 0, 5 is up here. Draw your line. Boom. And then don't forget label your points or your axes, pounds of apples, pounds of bananas. Good. Oh no, hold on. It says oranges. I totally read this wrong. It says oranges, but oranges instead of bananas. Whoopsies. So there should be oranges. I apologize for that. I should have read this one carefully too. Okay, so hopefully this is making a little bit of sense. Fill out your level of understanding. If you have any questions, you could type them in and we'll go over them the next day. I will be checking your notes the next day to make sure they are all filled out. And you have a worksheet 4.5 for homework, including a skill check to do tomorrow on graphing using intercepts. If you have any questions, let me know, and then I'll see you the next day. Bye, everyone.